Thanks everybody for your patience. We shall now move on to our sponsor talk for the day, given by Temple Capital. Temple Capital is a diamond sponsor at JuliaCon 2025, and we're deeply grateful for their support. So I invite Dr. Austin Hansen to deliver the sponsor talk. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, so my name is Austin Hansen. As mentioned, I am a quantitative researcher at Temple Capital. Admittedly, I've only been at the company for a few months now. One of our co-founders, Safik Berry, he's I think attended some JuliaCons in the past. I think he even gave a talk a couple years ago. Unfortunately, he had some hopes to, or he did have hopes to make this conference, but unfortunately he couldn't make it just due to some timing issues and things going on in his life. So you all are stuck with the new guy giving this talk. I'll definitely say I'm no replacement for Safik. So my talk will be very untechnical, just kind of an overview of what we do as Temple and my kind of transition from academia into finance and some of the reasons why we like coding in Julia. And I'll give some kind of personal, like what I've found really nice about working in Julia. So with that, just a little overview of my background. So I've kind of had a winding path before ending up at Temple. So I actually started my undergraduate degree as a classical guitar major. And I did that for around 2 years until having my first of many existential crises, which as every person naturally does, they then transition into mathematics. So I then finished out my degree in mathematics. I graduated, went on to work for a few years for an insurance company doing data analytics, got really bored out of my mind with that and said, let's do something a little more challenging. Went back, got my PhD at the University of California in Riverside, studying mathematical biology, and I just graduated around 6 months ago, and then started talking to the CEO of Temple, Vasily Andreev, and decided to make the transition into finance. And so far, I've been really happy with my choice there. As you can see from this graphic, I didn't actually start coding in Julia until working for Temple, so it's only been a few months now. In my PhD, I did computational modeling, and I was mainly using MATLAB and C++. However, I did hear about Julia in academia. So just a quick anecdote. My first encounter with Julia, I had this agent-based model of neurostem cell migration. It was coded in MATLAB. And you can kind of see in this graphic here, it was looking at the migration of neurostem cells in kind of rodent brains. So the green are the neurostem cells, and the blue-red scale in the background is chemical signals for chemotaxis. And we were kind of wanting to scale up the number of cells we were modeling, and we're running into some performance issues there. And so me and my advisor kind of discussed a bunch of different ideas. One of them was maybe we should just actually change coding languages to C++. So there's this thing in MATLAB, like an app or MATLAB Coder that kind of helps with that kind of change. I had never used it, and my advisor had never used it. So she reached out to a previous collaborator and asked if he had any experience. And he unfortunately didn't have any experience with it, but what he did say to us was, hey, my go-to coding language these days is actually Julia, primarily because it has the writability of MATLAB and the similar speeds of C++. And I think this is a very common sentiment I've heard echoed a lot through here, but in my personal experience, and I think as Temple's experience, we found that to actually be true, which is a pretty rare thing. It really is delivering on that front. So with that, just a little bit about who Temple Capital is. Temple was founded in 2018. It's a hedge fund that primarily trades Bitcoin and Ethereum futures. However, we do have some commodities strategies in the works, so looking to kind of expand to commodities. Just some other key facts. There's around 17 people on the team. We have some long-term general partners at Bain Capital, Pantera Ventures, and Belvedere Trading. We have around 125 million in assets under management, and we run a fully systematic kind of pipeline for generating and trading strategies that are focused on like beta neutral strategies, which mean just the volatility of our strategies in comparison to some market standard is relatively low. So how does Temple Capital differ from other hedge funds? Well, in other hedge funds, there's oftentimes a lot of very discretionary components to it, and in that some non-back-testable components as well. So a lot of hedge funds take a more individualistic approach where each individual quantitative trader will come up with their own ideas. They'll research these, trying out different versions. They'll show these results to some portfolio manager who will then look at those kind of summary statistics, decide whether or not they want to approve or disapprove of that strategy and allocate money to it. If it's approved, the money will be allocated and that strategy will be deployed, and then maybe sometime later you'll reevaluate. Temple, on the other hand, really takes an automated approach to this whole process. So it's really a systems level viewpoint of this whole process, trying to make otherwise manual research more testable and scientific. So with this, we really try to value creating pipelines that are inherently adaptable and can adjust over time, that are not reliant on continuous research or continuous manual research or updating, and which are back-testable from start to finish. So because of that, because of this systems level viewpoint, we really need an infrastructure that has a couple of key elements. Namely, we need an infrastructure that allows for researchers to make coding changes quickly and easily. We need pipelines for these routine backtest and walk-forward analyses. And we need this pipeline in general to be very computationally efficient so as to be able to test lots of ideas quickly for very little cost. So this is kind of before my time working there, but historically, a lot of Temple's infrastructure was built in Python. And as this kind of philosophy started to develop at Temple, we started wanting more control over numeric computations. And in particular, there was one pipeline that was coded in Python that had around like 200 hours of expert level work to really optimize and get every performance out of that pipeline. Still wanting more, we tested a number of other tools, some different compilers, and among that, we tested Julia. So we took that pipeline, coded it in Julia, and in just a few weeks, with basically very little Julia background, they were able to take this pipeline, code it in Julia, and see a 14x increase in speed over the highly optimized Python version of this. So this really became a really motivating force for us to kind of start transitioning a lot of our processes to Julia. So Julia has kind of become this center glue that kind of keeps our processes rolling. So we can use macros to build graphs for efficient computation of time series, then take these time series, train a large number of models, walk them forward, decide which strategies to deploy, and doing this all faster and more easily means greater profit for us as a company. On the personal side, I've really enjoyed the easy syntax. So like I said, coming from MATLAB, it's been a relatively low or easy learning experience for me. And so basically with zero Julia experience and with zero finance experience, I'm able to like jump in and within just a few weeks of learning start testing my own strategies. So in general, I won't kind of give specific research projects, but in general, we can kind of think of this whole development of strategies as looking through a very high-dimensional space and trying to find certain strategies in that high-dimensional space that are both predictive and uncorrelated. And you can come up with many different algorithms for doing that. And so just like I mentioned, in just a few weeks, I've been able to kind of jump in and start testing my own ideas. So again, like I said at the beginning of the talk, this kind of sentiment that the writability of MATLAB, but the speed of C++, we've really found that to prove out. So with that, I just want to say thanks to this community. It's been a real pleasure being here, getting to talk to a lot of you. And everyone's, just very collaborative and nice. Thank the organizers, thanks the developers and all the work that's gone into Julia. And for letting us speak. And lastly, we just want to say that we are hiring. So like I mentioned, we have a team of 17 people. And we are looking for Julia experts. We recently hired Jishnu, who's been kind of a major contributor to some core numeric libraries. So if you're a Julia fan and you are interested at all, please don't hesitate to reach out. You can talk to me afterwards, send an email here. We'd love to hear from you. So thank you all.